You wake up, and before your eyes even adjust to the dim light filtering through the blinds, you feel it. It isn't a physical exhaustion that a few more hours of sleep could fix. It is a weight, a heavy, invisible shroud draped over your chest, pressing you back into the mattress. It is the realization that the day ahead is merely a repetition of the day behind, a sequence of gestures, obligations, and polite smiles that feel like they belong to someone else. You are tired of your life, not because you are doing too much, but because you are being too little. You are a ghost haunting your own existence, wandering through a house of mirrors built by a system that profits from your anesthesia. You feel like a fraud because you have become one, not out of malice, but out of survival. But what if I told you that this crushing fatigue, this soul-deep weariness that makes you want to close your eyes and never open them again is the most honest thing about you? What if the tiredness isn't a symptom of failure, but the final desperate scream of a self that refuses to be buried alive? Today, we are going to stop looking for a cure for your exhaustion and to start looking for the person it is trying to protect. We are going to deconstruct the matrix you've built around your own heart and find the only thing that has the power to change everything. The problem isn't your schedule, it's your soul's refusal to participate in a lie. We live in a world designed to keep us in a state of perpetual half-presence. From the moment you are born, you are handed a script written by people who died long before you were conceived. You are told that the emptiness you feel can be filled with the right degree, the right partner, the right zip code, or the right brand of digital distraction. We are conditioned to view our lives as a series of projects to be managed, rather than an experience to be lived. You spend your youth trading your time for a future that never arrives, and your middle age mourning a past you never truly inhabited. This is the existential trap. The system requires you to be a function rather than a being. You are a consumer, a producer, a citizen, a follower, but you are rarely just you. When you wake up tired, it is because your psyche is exhausted from the effort of maintaining these masks. It's like holding a heavy stone at arm's length. Eventually, the muscle gives out. Your fatigue is that muscle failing. If this resonates, consider subscribing. Look closely at the nature of your dissatisfaction. It often manifests as a dull ache, a sense that something vital is missing, even when everything on paper looks fine. This is what the palliative care workers see in the eyes of the dying, the devastating clarity of what was sacrificed on the altar of should. They speak of the regret of not having the courage to live a life true to oneself, but instead, living the life others expected. You are feeling that regret now, in advance. It's a preemptive mourning. The system, this matrix of social expectations, economic pressures, and digital dopamine, thrives on your sense of inadequacy. It needs you to feel incomplete so that it can sell you the solution in the form of endless consumption. But the more you consume, the more the void grows. You are trying to fill a bottomless pit with pebbles, wondering why the sound of the falling stones never stops. You are anesthetized by convenience, yet you are bleeding out internally. Here is the twist. The very thing you think is a sign of depression or burnout is actually a transition of consciousness. This exhaustion is your no. It is the first time your true self has stood up to the tyranny of the they. Martin Heidegger, the philosopher of being, spoke of das Man, the they. This is the anonymous everybody that dictates how we should act, think, and feel. Most of us spend our entire lives in the grip of the they, making choices that aren't ours and dreaming dreams that were marketed to us. When you feel tired of your life, it is because you're finally becoming allergic to the they. You are rejecting the shallow waters of the collective and beginning to sink into the deep, dark, terrifying ocean of your own individuality. This isn't a collapse. It's an awakening. Your fatigue is the friction between the person you were told to be and the person you actually are. The heat from that friction is burning away the facade, and it hurts. It feels like death because it is a death, the death of the artificial self. To understand this, we must look at the architects of the soul who came before us. Friedrich Nietzsche warned us about the last man. the most despicable creature imaginable, who has abandoned all higher aspirations for the sake of comfort, security, and small pleasures. The last man says, "We have invented happiness," and blinks while his soul withers in a climate-controlled room. If you are tired of your life, it is because you refuse to be the last man. You refuse to be satisfied with a life of agreeable sensations and moderate distractions. You are suffering from what Soren Kierkegaard called the sickness unto death, a despair that arises from not being who you are, or from trying to be a self that is not grounded in the eternal. Kierkegaard understood that the greatest danger is losing oneself, and that this loss can occur so quietly that it's as if nothing happened at all. Your fatigue is the alarm bell. It is the signal that you are losing your self to the machinery of the world. Arthur Schopenhauer, the great pessimist, argued that life is a pendulum that swings back and forth between pain and boredom. We strive for something, feel the pain of lack, achieve it, and then immediately fall into the gray wasteland of boredom. Most of the modern world is an attempt to stop the pendulum in the middle through constant stimulation. We use our phones, our careers, and our substances to create a false stillness, a perpetual now that has no depth. But Schopenhauer also believed that through art and philosophical contemplation, we could step off the pendulum entirely. When you wake up tired, you are feeling the weight of the pendulum swing. You are realizing that the next thing isn't going to save you. You are tired of the game itself, not just the way you're playing it. You are beginning to ask the Heideggerian question, why is there something rather than nothing? And more importantly, why am I here if I am not really here? If this resonates, consider subscribing. Imagine your life as a grand, ornate cathedral. For years you have been busy painting the walls, sweeping the floors, and inviting guests into the nave. You've spent all your energy making sure the stained glass is clean and the candles are lit. But one day you realize that the cathedral is empty. There is no deity on the altar. There is no music in the choir. The architecture is magnificent, but the space is hollow. You are the architect, the janitor, and the priest, but you have forgotten to be the spirit that inhabits the stone. The fatigue you feel is the sheer effort of keeping a hollow building standing against the wind of time. You are trying to sustain the idea of a life without the substance of a life. The metaphor of the Matrix is visceral here. You are plugged into a dream world while your real body withers in a pod, feeding a machine that doesn't care about your joy. The only difference is that your pod is your daily routine, and the machine is a society that demands your productivity in exchange for the permission to exist. We are warned against the falseness of hedonism, yet we are constantly ushered toward it. The system tells you that if you feel empty, you need more pleasure. But pleasure is a fleeting chemical spike. It is not the same as meaning. Epicurus, often misunderstood as a seeker of luxury, actually taught that true happiness comes from ataraxia, the absence of pain and fear, achieved through a simple life and deep reflection. He knew that chasing intense pleasures only leads to intense withdrawals. Our modern system is a dopamine factory designed to keep you in a state of withdrawal. You are tired because you are coming down from the illusions of the system every single morning. You are in a state of existential hangover. The mechanical life of the system, the commute, the screen, the small talk, the transactional relationships, is a form of slow-motion suicide. It kills the part of you that is capable of wonder, leaving only the part that is capable of compliance. So, what is the new paradigm? It is not happiness, which is just another product. It is integrity. To live with integrity is to ensure that your internal reality and your external expression are one and the same. It is the courage to be authentic, a term Heidegger used to describe a life that owned its own possibilities. Authenticity doesn't mean being unique or special in a marketed way. It means acknowledging your own finitude, your own death, and deciding what matters in the face of it. It is about vivir de verdade, to live for real. This requires a radical presence. It means sitting in the grayness of your fatigue and asking it, what are you trying to tell me? Instead of reaching for your phone to drown out the silence, you must inhabit the silence until it speaks. You must stop fleeing from the void and start building a home within it. You might object, saying, I have responsibilities. I have bills. I can't just be authentic and quit my life. This is a valid fear, and the system uses it as a leash. But the change I am talking about isn't necessarily a change in geography. It's a change in ontology, a change in your way of being. You can work a job and not be owned by it. You can participate in the system while remaining a sovereign state internally. The exhaustion comes from the emotional labor of pretending to care about things that are meaningless. When you stop pretending, the energy begins to return. You validate your own struggle by acknowledging that it is hard to be a human being in an inhumane structure. You are not weak for being tired. You are sensitive. You are picking up on the frequency of a dying world. If this resonates, consider subscribing. Consider the story of a man named Elias. Elias had everything the system promised would bring peace. He was a high-level executive, had a beautiful home, and a family that looked perfect in photographs. Yet, Elias woke up every morning with a taste of ash in his mouth. He felt like he was watching a movie of his own life from the back row of a theater. He began to seek more travel, more expensive hobbies, more accolades. But the more only made him less. One night, in the middle of a crowded gala, he had a panic attack, not because he was afraid of the people, but because he realized that if he disappeared right then, the party would continue without a ripple. He was a placeholder. That realization was his collapse, but it was also his awakening. He didn't quit his life immediately. He began to decomplicate it. He started speaking the truth in meetings where lies were the currency. He started spending hours in silence. He stopped trying to achieve his life and started inhabiting it. He stayed in the same house, but he became a different man. The fatigue vanished because he was no longer fighting himself. This transformation is often like the metaphor of the chrysalis. To become a butterfly, the caterpillar doesn't just grow wings, it literally dissolves into a soup of enzymes. It has to go through a stage of total decomposition where it is neither what it was nor what it will be. Most people stop here. They feel the dissolving and they panic. They try to fix themselves back into a caterpillar, but you cannot go back. Your fatigue is the state of being liquid. You are in the process of breaking down the social conditioning, the trauma, and the false identities. The vazio, the void, is not a hole to be filled. It is the mestere, the master, that teaches you how to be still. You must allow yourself to decompose. You must allow the parts of you that were built by the system to rot away so that the essential self can finally take form. How do you do this practically? First, you must stop the flight. When the feeling of, I can't do this anymore, hits you, sit down. Don't call a friend. Don't watch a video. Don't eat. Just sit with the, I can't. This is called habiting the void. You're training your nervous system to realize that the emptiness is not fatal. Second, you must begin to recognize the system's voice in your head, the one that tells you that you're falling behind or that you're wasting time. Ask yourself, whose time am I wasting and where am I supposed to be ahead of? Third, practice radical subtraction. Instead of adding new habits, look at what you can stop doing. Stop saying yes to things that make you feel dead inside. Stop consuming information that leaves you feeling agitated. Stop performing for people who don't see you. This is the path of the via negativa, finding the truth by stripping away the lies. If this resonates, consider subscribing. The reason you wake up tired is that you are an infinite being, trying to live in a finite box. You are a creature of depth, living in a world of surfaces. Your exhaustion is the only honest response to a life lived in the matrix. It is the beginning of your liberation because it marks the end of your cooperation. When you finally say, I am tired of this, you are also saying, I am ready for something else. You are reclaiming the power to define your own existence. The only thing that can change this is not a new routine, but a new allegiance. You must shift your loyalty from the system to the self. You must become the person who is willing to lose everything else to gain their own soul. This is the narrow gate that all the great philosophers spoke of. It is not an easy path, but it is the only one that leads to a morning where you wake up and realize that the weight is gone, not because the world changed, but because you are finally carrying only what belongs to you. As we close this reflection, remember that your fatigue is a compass. It is pointing away from the illusions and toward the center of your being. It is the friction of your soul's awakening. Do not fear it. Do not medicate it away. Do not distract yourself from its message. Listen to the silence that follows the exhaustion. In that silence, you will find a voice that has been whispering your name since you were a child, a voice that doesn't care about your productivity or your status, but only about your presence. The system wants you to believe that your life is a problem to be solved, but the truth is that your life is a mystery to be lived. The real reason you are tired is that you have been trying to solve the mystery instead of entering it. So, tomorrow morning, when that weight hits your chest, don't fight it. Sink into it, ask it what it wants, and listen closely. Because the only thing that can change your life is the realization that you are already free to let the old one die. You are not a cog in a machine. You are the architect of a new world. And that world begins the moment you stop running. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing to continue this journey into the deep. Until next time, stay awake in the dream. Your fatigue is the first light of dawn. If this resonates, consider subscribing. The journey toward authenticity is often a lonely one, but it is the only path that leads to a life worth having. When we talk about psychology profunda, we are talking about the layers of the self that have been buried under the sediment of 1,000 shoulds. We are talking about the archaeology of the spirit. Each time you resist the urge to numb yourself, you are digging a little deeper. Each time you choose a difficult truth over a comfortable lie, you are clearing the dust from the altar of your own cathedral. The system, the matrix, relies on your fear of the gray space between the old you and the new you. It wants you to think that the grayness is permanent, that the fatigue is all there is. But the grayness is just the mist that precedes the sunrise. It is the liminal space where the real work happens. It is where you decide who you are when no one is watching and when there is nothing to gain. Kierkegaard once said that to venture causes anxiety, but not to venture is to lose oneself. You have been not venturing for a long time, and the result is the heavy, stagnant air of a life lived in a waiting room. The fatigue is the anxiety of the soul that knows it must venture or perish. The only thing that can change this is the act of venturing, the leap of faith into your own reality. It is the decision to stop being a spectator of your own existence and to become the protagonist. This doesn't require grand gestures. It requires 1,000 small, honest choices. It requires the integrity to say no to the machine and yes to the mystery. It requires the courage to wake up and, instead of asking, "What must I do today?" asking, "Who must I be today?" If this resonates, consider subscribing. The critique of the system is often misunderstood as a call for revolution in the streets. But the real revolution is internal. It is the refusal to let the matrix define your value. It is the realization that your purpose is not something to be found in a job description, but something to be expressed in the quality of your attention. When you give your full attention to a single moment, to the breath, to the light, to the person in front of you, you are committing an act of rebellion against a system that wants your attention fragmented and sold to the highest bidder. You are reclaiming the currency of your life. The exhaustion you feel is the debt you've accumulated by spending your attention on things that don't matter. The only way to pay that debt is to stop spending it on the system and start investing it in yourself. As you move through the world after this, notice the anesthesia everywhere. Notice the way people talk to each other without looking. Notice the way the screens pulse with a light that doesn't warm the skin. Notice the frantic pace of people running toward a somewhere that doesn't exist. And then stop. Take a breath. Feel the weight of your own body. This is the despertar essential, the essential awakening. It is the moment you realize that you don't have to run. You are already here. The tiredness is the friction of the running. When you stop running, the friction stops. When the friction stops, the heat dissipates. And in that cool, clear air, you will find the energy you thought you had lost. It wasn't gone. It was just being used to fuel a race you never wanted to win. If this resonates, consider subscribing. We must also confront the regrets de fin de vida, the end-of-life regrets, not as a threat, but as a guide. Imagine yourself at 80 or 90 looking back at this very moment. What will that version of you wish you had done with this fatigue? They won't wish you had worked more overtime or bought a better car. They will wish you had listened to the fatigue. They will wish you had had the courage to follow the ache in your heart until it led you to the truth. They will wish you had stopped being so tired of being someone else and started being exhausted by the sheer beauty of being yourself. Use your future self as a consultant. When the system screams for your compliance, ask the elder within you, does this matter? The answer will almost always be no. And in that no, you will find your yes. The philosophy of the deep soul teaches us that we are not just psychological beings, but ontological ones. We are beings in the world. Our relationship with the world is not just functional, it is foundational. If the world we live in is a matrix of lies, our being will feel the weight of those lies as a physical and mental burden. The critica ao sistema is not just a political stance, it is a mental health necessity. You cannot be well in a system that is fundamentally unwell. You cannot be rested in a system that is designed to keep you on a treadmill. Your fatigue is your sanity's way of telling you that you are trying to adapt to a pathology. Stop trying to adapt. Start trying to transcend. This transcendence is not an escape to another world, but a deeper immersion into this one. It is Heidegger's Dasein, being there. It is being fully there in the pain, there in the joy, there in the mundane, and there in the extraordinary. When you are fully there, the fatigue cannot survive, because fatigue requires a split, a part of you that is present and a part of you that is wishing it were somewhere else. When you are whole, when you are one, there is no room for that exhausting division. You are not doing life, you are life. And life doesn't get tired of itself. It is a self-renewing flame. If this resonates, consider subscribing. Think of the Métaphore de transformation once more. Think of the forest floor. It is covered in dead leaves, rotting logs, and decomposing matter. To a casual observer, it looks like a place of death and decay. But to the forest, it is the most vital part of the ecosystem. It is where the nutrients are recycled, where the soil is enriched, and where the new growth finds its strength. Your tiredness is your forest floor. Oiki, it is the place where the old versions of you are breaking down to feed the new growth. Don't sweep away the dead leaves. Let them rot. Let them become the soil for the person you are becoming. The vazio, the void, is the space between the decay and the new sprout. It is a sacred space. It is the mestra that teaches you that nothing is ever truly lost, only transformed. If this resonates, consider subscribing. The practical instructions I gave you, habiting the void, recognizing the system's voice, radical subtraction, are not hacks. They are disciplines. They are the ways we train ourselves to stay awake when the world is singing us a lullaby of convenience. It is easy to fall back into the sleep of the matrix. It is comfortable to be a last man, but the price of that comfort is your own existence. The motivo real, you wake up tired, is that you are paying that price every single day, and the cost is becoming unbearable. The única coisa que pode mudar isso is to stop paying, to declare bankruptcy on the system's expectations, and to start building your own internal economy based on truth, integrity, and presence. In the final synthesis, we see that the problem was never the tiredness itself. The problem was our resistance to what the tiredness was trying to show us. We were fighting the symptoms instead of listening to the message. The moment you stop fighting the fatigue and start following it, it transforms from a burden into a bridge. It leads you out of the matrix and into the real world. It leads you away from the they and toward the self. It leads you from a life of should to a life of is. This is the beginning of your liberation. It is the end of the mechanical life and the birth of the authentic one. You are not tired of your life. You are tired of the absence of your life. So, go out and find the presence that has been waiting for you in the shadows of your own exhaustion. If this resonates, consider subscribing. As we reach the end of this journey, let the words of the philosophers echo in your mind. Let Nietzsche remind you to overcome the last man. Let Heidegger remind you to own your own Dasein. Let Kierkegaard remind you that the only real sickness is the loss of the self. And let your own fatigue remind you that you are still alive, still feeling, and still capable of a radical no that will eventually become a radical yes. The system is powerful, but it is not you. The matrix is vast, but it is not your soul. You are the observer, the architect, and the spirit. You're the one who wakes up, and you're the one who has the power to decide what kind of awakening it will be. The final closure of this circle is the realization that the motivo real, the real reason, is actually a gift. Without this exhaustion, you might have spent your entire life in a comfortable slumber, never knowing the depth of your own being. You might have reached the end of your life only to realize that you never really started it. Your tiredness is the mestra that saved you from that fate. It is the alerta, the alarm that woke you up before it was too late. It is the beginning of everything. So tonight, when you go to sleep, don't just hope for rest. Hope for clarity. Hope for the courage to wake up even more tired of the lies, until the only thing left is the truth. If this resonates, consider subscribing. The world will continue to spin. The system will continue to demand your attention, and the matrix will continue to offer its colorful distractions. But you will be different. You will be the one who knows that the tiredness is a holy thing. You will be the one who walks through the house of mirrors and sees not just the reflections, but the person who is standing in the center. You will be the one who wakes up and smiles, not because the day is easy, but because the day is yours. The weight on your chest will become the foundation under your feet, and the vazio will become the plenitude. This is the transformation. This is the reframe. This is the only way to truly live. The fatigue you felt this morning was not the end of your story. It was the prologue. It was the moment the character realizes they are in a play and decides to step off the stage. The rest of the script is blank, and for the first time, the pen is in your hand. Write something real. Write something visceral. Write a life that would make your future self weep with gratitude. You are not tired because you are broken. You are tired because you are being born. And birth is an exhausting, bloody, beautiful process. Embrace the labor. Welcome the pain. And finally, for the first time, breathe. The air outside the matrix is cold, but it is real. And reality is the only thing that will ever truly rest your soul. If this resonates, consider subscribing. Remember, the system thrives on your speed, but the soul thrives on your slowness. The matrix wants you to get there, but the spirit wants you to be here. The next time you feel the urge to hurry, to achieve, to perform, remember the vazio. Remember the forest floor. Remember the cathedral that was empty because you were too busy cleaning the windows to sit at the altar. Take your seat. Inhabit your space. The tiredness is just the sound of the world's expectations falling away. Let them fall. They are not yours to carry. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to break out. And the breakout starts with a long, slow, honest morning of being exactly as tired as you are. If this resonates, consider subscribing. We have explored the depths of the existential problem, deconstructed the philosophical foundations of our malaise, and looked through the visceral metaphors of our own entrapment. We have seen the false solutions for what they are, dopamine-fueled distractions that only deepen the void. We have introduced a new paradigm of integrity and radical presence. We have heard the story of Elias and the transformation of the chrysalis. We have given you the instructions for the descent into the self. Now, there is only one thing left to do. You must take the first step. Not a step forward into the system's race, but a step inward into your own silence. If this resonates, consider subscribing. The journey of the Reframe essay is not about giving you new information. It is about giving you a new way to see the information you already have. It is about taking the tiredness you've been ashamed of and turning it into a badge of honor. It is about realizing that your failure to be happy in a hollow world is actually your greatest success. You are the glitch in the system that proves the system is wrong. You are the proof that the soul cannot be fully colonized. You are the living evidence of something that the matrix cannot calculate and cannot control. Your fatigue is your resistance. As you close this video and return to your life, do not look for a way to fix your fatigue. Look for a way to honor it. Treat your exhaustion like a weary traveler who has come to your door with an important message. Invite it in. Give it a seat. Listen to what it has to say. Because the message it brings is the only thing that can change everything. It is the message that you have been waiting for your entire life. It is the message that says, you can stop now, you can be real now, you can live now. And once you hear that message, you will realize that you are no longer tired. You are finally, for the very first time, awake. The real reason you wake up tired of your life is that you are trying to live a life that doesn't belong to you. And the only thing that can change that is the decision to finally move into your own.